Hey guys, and welcome back to the Fantasy Line. And today we got a lot to go over. Sorry about that missed episode last week. We all had some stuff we're doing. But starting off with today's topic, we're going to talk about the studs of Week 5. And I'm going to start it off with no other than my guy, Drake London. He goes out there, has 12 receptions, 154 yards, and a touchdown, 34 points on Thursday Night Football. And man, did the Falcons look like they're starting to gel, and there's no limit on Drake London and what he can do. What do you guys think about that?
London looked great in this game. You know, having Kirk Cousins throw for 500 yards really did help him there. I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to throw for 500 yards every game, but London coming out having back-to-back games with over 12 targets is really good. I mean, this is something we were expecting from London. I wasn't fully bought into London, but I mean, yeah, he's good. I don't know if he's like the wide receiver, like top wide receiver moving forward, but I would say he's definitely like a wide receiver like one moving forward, maybe low end wide receiver one, high end wide receiver two. Just because Kirk Cousins is looking like Kirk Cousins right now, and when he had Justin Jefferson, he was slinging that rock to him all the time. So I like Drake London, and I think he's gonna be good moving forward.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm not really bought in Drake London. I mean, he had a good game, but he's nothing like Justin Jefferson with Kirko chains. So, like, that's one thing is Drake London is nothing like Justin Jefferson, straight up. Drake London is like a bigger receiver, but I mean, he's getting the volume. So, like, he has that potential right now, and he's playing as a wide receiver one. So, I mean, I think he's fine.
But how is Drake London going to drop 34 points and you guys are still hating on him? I mean, the thing about Drake London is he's playing every snap. He's a great blocker. He's always going to be out there. So there's always going to be opportunity for him. And I mean, as we've seen the last couple of weeks, he's had the targets. The targets have been there.
So is Jackson Smith and Jigba good because he had one good game?
Well, Drake London he had 15, 17, then 9, and then 34 this last week. So I mean, those are good numbers. If a floor's 15 points for a receiver, I think that's great.
Yeah.
And then just to mention, Darnell Mooney goes out there and kills it too. He also put up insane numbers as Kirk Cousins threw the ball for 500 yards. Just what are your guys' thoughts on Darnell Mooney?
I think he should be rostered everywhere, and I think that he should be started. I think that he's a flex option. I think he's a great flex option. And if for some reason your team is just injured, I would throw him in there. I would throw him at wide receiver too, and I'd be confident, honestly. Just from what I'm seeing from this Falcons offense. I think we're going to talk about Bijan a little bit later on, as I'm personally worried about Bijan moving forward. But just this Falcons passing game is heating up right now, and I want pieces of it. I mean, if I can get Darnell Mooney, if he's not, we're going to talk about waivers later as well, but if he's on your waiver wires, I would spend, if you have Fab, I would spend it all on Darnell Mooney. I think he's going to be good. I mean, 16 targets, I'm bought into Darnell Mooney. I like Darnell Mooney, man. I think he's going to be good. So.
Yeah, I mean, Darnell Mooney, he was in Chicago before, and Chicago was really not the best scene at all. And I know he's showing flashes, while he was at Chicago, he has potential to be good. But I think now him going to the Falcons and they're finally using him how he's supposed to be used, he's coming out as being, I think you can start him easily, wide receiver to potential from here on out. It just depends on, I think, how Kirk Cousins does. And saying he looked good last game, but we just hope that continues.
Yeah, I mean, I think Joe was a little off. I mean, Isaiah was more right. I mean, Darnell Mooney, he goes out there, actually leads his team in targets, 16 targets, 9 receptions, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Outscores
so
Drake
Mooney
London.
Better than London?
No, I don't think he's better than Drake London, but I think Mooney, you can comfortably start him as a wide receiver too going forward. I mean, I think that Kirk Cousins is just starting to gel more with this offense. I do think this is also because there wasn't a good running game going on in this game, and they had to put up points, so they had to throw the ball. I think Bijan will be more effective. But okay, let's get into our next guy. Another one of my guys, Ja'Marr Chase. He goes out there, finally has the game. This is why you draft him, for these big games. He has 10 receptions, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns. The wide receiver one on the week with 41 points. And man, was that Baltimore Ravens and Bengals game the game of the year, probably. What do you guys think about Chase?
Yeah, this is like I would say, this is why you drafted Chase. Like Chase, I feel like this is like the third time Chase has dropped 50 on the Ravens. I could think back to a couple games back where Chase has just gone crazy on the Ravens. But this is what he does, man. He's going to be great. I mean, he's arguably the wide receiver one right now moving forward. And Joe Burrow is starting to get hot. And like I said, the Bengals always start slow, and this is where they normally pick it up, and this is where they normally like make their Super Bowl run. Like we saw it 3 years ago, and now they've just been hurt, and they've just been like Joe Burrow had his calf injury last year. Joe Burrow got hurt, and a bunch of things happened, but I think the Bengals are going to be good moving forward. I mean, they did lose this game to the Ravens. Their defense is really bad, so that's good for fantasy. The more their opposing team's going to score, they're going to force them to throw the ball. So I think that the Bengals all across the board are just elite moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like Chase has always been one of those guys with like you have to ride or die. Like he's had like really good games, he's had really bad games, so you kind of get like a basket of both. But like how he played this last game, like if he does that, I mean 50 points a game, it's not very 40 points a game, it's not very like doable. But if he just continues, putting up numbers like that, then like you're fine with his draft capital and like how he's been performing. I know he's kind of been a little slow, but we still have in that game, Burrow passed for 400 yards, basically had 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, for 46 fantasy points, and T Higgins for 9 receptions, 83 yards, and 2 touchdowns for 29 fantasy points. This Bengals offense is going to be good, I think. I don't really know what's going on with their head coach situation, because I think they're kind of all like he's on the hot seat right now with them, being 1-3. You spelled offense wrong, but
Can we cut this out? Can we cut this out, Joe?
No, I think we should keep. We're actually going to keep this. I'm not cutting this out.
Dude, this is the whole scene.
Anyway, I think this Bengals offense is going to be good. It's just like Joe Burrow has to play. Joe Burrow's, I think, QB1 right now, QB2. If I think, I'm not quite sure. I think he's QB1 or QB2. I mean, he's played phenomenal the last couple of games. I think every Bengal, if you have any Bengal on this team, I think you're starting them. Like Mike Gesicki has a chance to go off. I know tight end situation's been kind of bad. Zach Moss, I know he's dealing with an ankle sprain right now, but I really don't know what he might be out, but he might play. I really don't know like what his role is too, because Chase Brown has been coming and playing, which I mean Chase Brown we knew was more explosive than Zach Moss. And I think they both complement each other's style, where they're both like they're both different per se. Zach Moss is a bigger back, but what do you guys think about this Bengals offense or Bengals team?
Alex?
I think they're looking good. I honestly think that T Higgins could get traded just with the record 1-4. It's pretty bad. And I heard like Chase and Higgins weren't happy about that aggressiveness in the last quarter in overtime. So I think if they keep losing, they look to trade Higgins. I don't see them trading Chase, but I mean, this could only be better for Chase. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they trade Higgins, but I mean, if they do trade Higgins, it's probably to a good team who's looking for a receiver, like maybe like the Chiefs or like the Jets or the Commanders. Those are like hot teams, and maybe like the Saints. Those are hot teams right now in the market for a receiver, especially like Devontae Adams. So I don't know about the T Higgins trade, but I mean, if he does, then I mean, I think his value stays similarly the same. I think right now, just overall looking forward, like T Higgins on this Bengals offense is looking great. Me and Isaiah actually just made a trade. I sent T Higgins, or he sent T Higgins and Chris Olave, and I sent Debo and Brian Thomas. And honestly, it looks like a really fair trade because Olave and Debo both played really bad. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Higgins and Thomas both played great. And I like T Higgins moving forward. I think he's going to, I feel like the last couple of years has just been like, oh, T Higgins is one of the best wide receiver 2s in the league. And he's just been hurt, and he's just been injured and just been like unlucky, honestly. And I think this is actually his time to come out and like, I mean, if you watch that game, he was just mossing people. We also had like the catch where he had like on the sideline, he like mossed that dude, and then like he came down with the ball. Everyone thought it was a drop. I thought it was a catch, and it was a catch. So that was pretty cool just to see from T. Higgins there. Just like he's a really talented receiver. And just like the running backs in this offense, Chase Brown, Zach Moss. If Zach Moss misses time, Chase Brown's a must start. And yeah, they're both solid flex plays if they're both there. I would lean Zach Moss over Chase Brown still if he's healthy. But yeah, this Bengals offense is looking to like move up ranks when it comes to fantasy and just do what they've been doing all of Joe Burrow's career.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with T. Higgins possibly getting traded. I would say like I could see him get traded if this team like I know like Deontay Johnson has been rumored to be in trades currently as well. Like they're both on terrible teams. They're both on 1-year contracts. I don't see why at this point like if the Bengals lose this next game, like I don't see why not just ship T. Higgins out of there so they get some value out of T. Higgins. But like I don't think like I think Robert Saleh and Derek Carr getting hurt really hurt the Saints and the Jets trade for Devontae Adams or any wide receiver because like who's going to want to go there? But I do think, and I think T. Higgins, if he gets traded, it won't be the Chiefs. I think everybody saw when the Bills traded basically Xavier Worthy to the Chiefs, and it was like, okay, like you guys can't be like, what are you doing? So I think it'd be like the same type of thing with T. Higgins. But I mean, you never know. But I can see T. Higgins getting traded. I think anywhere he goes, he's a wide receiver one instantly, wherever he's at.
I agree.
You mentioned Robert Saleh getting hurt.
Fired.
Isn't
Fired.
Oh, he said fired. I thought he said hurt. But okay. Moving on to my next stud, Brandon Ayuk. The Niners unfortunately lose the game again, as we always just have a bad start to the season. But Ayuk came alive, and most of you honestly probably have him on your bench. I think it was a 50-50 start bench just with how bad he's been. But he goes out there, has 8 catches, 147 yards, 22 points, leads this Niner offense. It just seemed like the Cardinals wanted Ayuk to beat him. They shut down Debo, and they wanted it to go through Ayuk. So I think Ayuk is back. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that Ayuk is. I think he's back. I mean, this is why they paid him for this kind of game. I mean, they still lost the game to the Cardinals. Just they couldn't compete with James Conner. It looked like James Conner was running through them at the end of the game. But Brandon Ayuk, I think he's going to have ups and downs, just like everyone in this offense is. Like Kittle's going to have his games. Like Kittle played great today. He's going to have his like 40-point game. It's going to come up eventually. That means that Brandon Ayuk and Debo aren't going to play good. I mean, Debo's going to have his 40-point game where he has like 3 screen passes, but he has 3 touchdowns because he takes them all to the house. So this offense is just super, super volatile. They have lots of pieces. Not all of them are going to play good every week, but they're all great starts because who knows what's going to happen with this team. Yeah, I just think that he's back, and I don't know if he's back to the level he's going to be at last year, but this is a good sign for Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, I think Ayuk's gonna have his ups and downs. I think this Niners team is still trying to find like their identity on who they want to be on and defense. Like both sides of the ball are just struggling, both defensively and offensive. They're just playing so bad right now. But I think like especially on offense, it's just like I'm not saying like Christian McCaffrey. I mean, Christian McCaffrey shouldn't matter to this team. Like we've played without Christian McCaffrey before, and our offense has still been able to put up points. But it seems like this offense has just been not like coherent whatsoever. Can't score in the red zone. Like I'm saying, Debo had a bad game. Kittle did good. Ayuk did good. Like Mason, we're going to talk about Mason later on as well. But it's like I don't feel like Purdy's been playing good too. Purdy's been playing lights out. I think this Niners offense can definitely perform better. It's just that they're just currently struggling with for whatever reason. I feel like it's kind of like the play calling. Like Shanahan's kind of like scared. Like I don't know if he doesn't really like trust Mason. Yeah, we'll get into that later. But like I don't know, there's something weird about this offense. But I do think like everyone's gonna have their up and downs, at least early on until after the bye. Honestly, is when I think they'll figure it out and they'll be way better.
Yeah, I think you just continue to start every Niner. You don't bench a Niner player. What do you think, Joe?
I was just going to say, Isaiah said Purdy's been lights out. I mean, in this game, Purdy honestly didn't look that good. He's looked good before, like in his past games, but he only completed 19 of his 35 passes. He had 2 picks. I mean, this was a down game for Purdy, but like I said before, he's been rock solid. When it comes to just being a quarterback in the NFL, and fantasy production is there. I'm pretty sure he's like the quarterback 10 on the year. So he's still that top 10 quarterback. And yeah, I just think that the Niners offense, I honestly think they need Christian McCaffrey back. I think Christian McCaffrey is the heart. I mean, obviously we know Christian McCaffrey is probably like a top 5 player in the NFL when he's healthy. And he's just such an offensive weapon. He's just so unique to this team. He like makes this team go, kind of like Debo does. And when you get both those guys on the field, it's like, come on, like you can't stop it. And I think this team's really hurt missing McCaffrey because Jordan Mason, although he's super good, he doesn't catch the ball. Like they can't do the same things they do with Christian McCaffrey. And I think that they need him back because it looks like they miss him a lot. So that's just my thoughts on that.
I feel like for like the Mason thing, like they're not giving him the ball. Like that's what I feel like. Even in the red zone, it was like I know Mason had a fumble this game. He hasn't fumbled before. I think he leads the league in yards per carry. Like leads the league in rushing. He has been pretty good, and it's just like I don't know why Shanahan seems to be scared to give Mason the ball on a little like dump off play. Like Mason, I know he's not the best pass catcher. He can still catch, and it's like most of the time they put like Juszczyk out there. I don't know if like Purdy also isn't confident about Mason like throwing like little like dump balls to him. But it's just very like it's very weird why they're not giving him the ball.
Yeah, just overall though, I think the Niners are gonna have a bounce back. I mean, the last 2 years we started 2-4 and 3-5, and ended up in the NFC Championship both times. This year we're 2-3. So I think we're gonna be fine. I don't think there's any worries. McCaffrey.
Hold up. Didn't you guys start 8-0 last year? I'm pretty sure you guys started like 8 or 9-0 last year.
What does that have to do with anything?
I don't know.
Well, the two.
No,
I think it was
we
the 2
did.
years
We
before.
lost. We lost to the Vikings. We've lost to the Vikings last year, like week 6.
Maybe. I just remember
And then we
years
lost to the Browns like week 8.
Yeah, just overall, I might be a little wrong, but the Niners, like in the last 3 years, I know 2 years they started off pretty bad, but we made the NFC Championship game. So yeah, I think you continue to start all these Niners players, and you have no worry about them because they're gonna have their games. Okay, moving on to Isaiah and Joe's guy,
Brian Thomas. So again, me and Joe traded earlier, kind of an even trade. But so Brian Thomas this week, he had 5 receptions for 122 yards and a touchdown for 23 fantasy points. He is not Titans. It's been a long day. He is the Jaguars' number 1 wide receiver. He's better than Christian Kirk easily. And it seems like Trevor Lawrence seems to be throwing him like he's had a lot of he would have had more points if it wasn't for penalties. I think like I know there was at least one. I think another catch where he was like called back from a penalty. So like he definitely could have had a better game. It was just the offensive line was getting them holding calls. But I think Brian Thomas right now, he's a number 1 wide receiver. I think on this team. I think he might. By the end of this year, he's going to be like a fantasy 1. He's going to be a must-start wide receiver. What do you guys think?
Yep, this is – unfortunately, I had to trade my guy away because my team – I just wanted to make something happen in the league because there has been like no trades in this league that we're in. So I was like, let's send it over. It looks fair, and it is fair. But I have Brian Thomas in another league as well, and I think that he is just – he's so good, dude. He ran 22.1 miles an hour, which is clocked at the fastest speed in the entire NFL this year. He is just so talented. He is just so fast. He's just bigger and stronger than everyone. 6'2", 210, and he is just elite, man. Like I said before the season started, I think he's going to be a top 12 receiver, and he's the wide receiver 9 in PPR and the wide receiver 7 in half PPR heading into week 6. He's got 400 yards, 3 touchdowns on 22 catches. He's averaging 12 yards a catch. He's averaging 12. Every target he's getting is 12 yards down the field. That's elite as well. So this man is just great, and I think he's going to put up relatively similar to Jamar Chase rookie numbers moving forward. Maybe a little bit less, but he has that upside moving forward as that rookie receiver for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, he looks good. I mean, he's the wide receiver 9 on the year right now. Has more fantasy points than like Marvin Harrison Jr. And I mean, going up against this matchup, though, we knew Brian Thomas was going to exploit the Colts. Outside receivers always just beat the Colts on those deep balls. They get that. And yeah, I mean, even with when Evan Ingram comes back, which I think will be up this next week, I think he's still startable. I think you're still flexing Brian Thomas just for that big play upside, as well as we've seen his targets go up these last couple weeks. And yeah, Christian Kirk, just to mention, he still had a fine game. He had 4 targets, 3 receptions, 98 yards, 12 points. But
Got
yeah,
some
I
white
think
stuff on your face.
Anyways, Brian Thomas is he's got like 9 targets in the last 3 games, and yeah, his outlook looks. I mean, if you have him in Dynasty, I mean, he's probably at this point like a top 10 receiver in Dynasty. I mean, just based off his he's doing this as a rookie, and I mean, we knew he was a first round draft pick, and he was supposed to be good, and he's showing it. But moving on to my stud players of the week, starting off with Rico Dowdle, man. Rico Dowdle, I got him in a couple leagues, taking him in like the 15th, 16th round in most drafts. He was not really being looked at a lot in, fantasy drafts. He was going at the very end of the draft, and I thought he was a snag at the end, which he's turning out to be. He comes out, he has 20 carries for 87 yards, and he has another receiving touchdown. He has 2 catches for 27 yards and that receiving touchdown. So Rico Dowdle, I mean, he played 50% of the snaps in this game, but he had all the work. 20 carries on 50% of the snaps is just absolutely absurd. He's he's pretty much touching the ball every time he's out there. And, he was one of the reasons the Cowboys won this game. They relied on Dowdle in the fourth quarter. They showed that they trust him, and he got it done for this team. Obviously, he had that goal line carry where he fumbled, but that dude came flying from like 20 feet away. Like, I don't know if you guys saw that play. That was crazy. So he could even had a bigger game. He could have had a rushing touchdown in this game as well. So he had 19 PPR points. And moving forward, I think Rico Dowdle's up there with Darnell Mooney for the pickup of the week, if for some reason they're available. I think they're owned in most leagues. So yeah, Rico Dowdle is taking over this backfield. I mean, he's competing with Ezekiel Elliott. That dude is washed. He's old. He's not touching the ball. He just looks slow like he did last year. So Rico Dowdle moving forward, I think the upside's pretty solid here, as the Cowboys are a great offense and they're going to score lots of points, and Dowdle's going to he gets 20 carries. Like, who knows what's going to happen with Rico Dowdle. So what do you guys think about Rico?
All right, I'm a fan of Rico Dowdle.
Bench.
I'm a fan of Rico Dowdle. I picked him up earlier. That was like my last pick, and then he was just playing. I mean, he wasn't even playing. I don't even know what was going on. It's just they weren't using him. Wasn't really playing. I guess that would be the correct. And then the last couple of weeks he's kind of came onto the scene. It's kind of like maybe I dropped him a little bit too early, but I think he's for surely worth to be on someone's team. Yeah, especially on those offenses. Their offense is also started off very slow. Kind of, I guess, kind of weird. I mean, they're still winning, games, but their offense has just been not really like, something between CeeDee Lamb seems a little bit off. Dak and like Ferguson been good, but I think Rico Dowdle, he's a pickup. I like him.
Yeah, I think he's definitely worth the ad if he's on the waivers. I don't think you start him yet. I mean, we did see him come out and play 51% of snaps, like the highest throughout the year so far. But I think the Cowboys are just going to look to pass the ball. I mean, Rico is going to be the lead back going forward. But I don't know if he's reliable. I feel like he's like touchdown dependent almost. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, I
think that's fine with this team.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say the exact same thing because they're going to score a lot of touchdowns. And I mean, he has back-to-back games with the receiving touchdown, which is just, I mean, he doesn't even have a rushing touchdown. Like, wait until this guy gets some rushing touchdowns. Maybe he's going to be putting up some more fantasy points. And then just like the Cowboys as a whole, I think their pass offense is going to get going. Again, he did this against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is like one of the better defenses in the entire NFL. Just like when it comes all across the board, like their run defense, their pass defense, they're great. And having 4.5 yards a carry against his team is elite numbers that we don't really see a lot from running backs. So that's also a great sign. And he's playing Detroit next week, which is also probably the best run defense in the entire NFL. So if he comes out and he does something like he did today, like look out, man, because that just shows that this line is moving people and Rico Dowdle is finding those gaps. But yeah, so that's Rico Dowdle. We're moving on.
Wait, so would you rather have Rico Dowdle or Chase Brown rest of the year?
Probably Chase Brown.
I would go Chase Brown.
I'd probably go Chase Brown, but actually, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'd probably go Rico, honestly. I still like Zach. Zach Moss is there for a reason. They paid him some money for a reason. They're still going to use him. Like he was used last game, so it's not like Chase Brown has the entire offense. I think it's going to be more like that's going to be more split than Rico Dowdle, and I feel like Rico Dowdle, he's the only guy there. I'm a big Zeke fan. Zeke is a freak, but like Zeke is no longer that. Zeke is washed, and they have like Dalvin Cook there. He's also on the watch side, so it's like they really have no one besides Rico Dowdle in that backfield. So I think I would go with the clear one over a guy who's like a 1A and a 1B. Well, Zach Moss, even Zach Taylor said that in the beginning of the season that they're both 1A and 1B. So I mean, I think I'd go with Rico Dowdle just for the upside too. He has a higher upside than Chase Brown does.
Yeah, I agree. I was at first I said Chase Brown, but then the more I think about it, I'd go Rico. If they're both in the same conversation, I feel like though, I think they're both like this. They're honestly like relatively the same profile as a running back. And I just think I'm taking the person who's going to get all the work instead of someone who's going to get half the work. So yeah, and then moving on to, I'm going to cover some tight ends who balled out this week. Starting with Brock Bowers, he had 12 targets, went 8 for 97 and a touchdown. And that first drive of the game, he absolutely mossed the Broncos. I don't even know who it was. It was a corner, I think, or a linebacker, and he absolutely mossed him, scored a 57-yard touchdown on the first play, like literally the first 5 play of the game. And it was like, oh gosh, here comes Brock Bowers. He's about to blow up. But he slowed down a little bit. He still got a bunch of receptions. He had 12 targets. And I think this is what we're going to see with Davante Adams missing. I think Davante Adams is not going to play another snap for the Raiders. And I think Brock Bowers is going to see these targets because who else are they going to throw the ball to? I mean, they have Trey Tucker. They have Jacoby Myers. Like, literally, who are they going to give the ball to other than Brock Bowers? And, I mean, the running backs don't even catch the ball. Like, Alexander Madison and Zamir White. I mean, Madison, maybe he catches a couple passes, but this offense is just atrocious. As a Raiders fan, this is rough to see. But Brock Bowers, man, I mean, that's great. He's doing good, and I think he's going to see, an insane amount of targets, an insane amount of volume. And then next we're going to talk about Tucker Kraft, another young tight end. Tucker Kraft came out, had 5 targets and 4 for 88 yards and a touchdown. He had a 50-yard touchdown in the game, kind of like Brock Bowers did near the end of the game. And Tucker Kraft was a big waiver wire pickup heading into the week just because Jordan Love's back, and Jordan Love, he likes throwing the ball to Tucker Kraft. And, I mean, he only had 5 targets, but, I mean, this is good production. Tight ends have been awful this year, so this is a good week to see tight ends play good. So Tucker Kraft could be a good pickup if he's out there. I'm pretty sure he's only owned in 40% of leagues, so that could be a good pickup if you're looking for a tight end. Kittle, we mentioned before, he had 12 targets just like Bowers did, 8 for 64 and a touchdown. Just another good Kittle game. He's going to have these games. And then Kelsey, this is actually good stuff to see from Kelsey. He went 9 receptions for 70 yards on 10 targets. I mean, he's getting the volume now. He's with Rashee Rice, with Isaiah Pacheco out. I think Kelsey is back in the top 3 tight end conversation. I don't think he really. I mean, back-to-back games with over, I think 10 targets. So you love to see that from Travis Kelce. He doesn't look bad. He still looks like Travis Kelce. He looks good. We saw that lateral play he had. He's just out there. It literally looks like he's just playing against JV players, dude. It's he's out there having fun, just doing what he does best and just being creative with the football. So yeah, those are 4 tight ends who played really good this week. Would you guys have any thoughts on those 4?
Yeah, I think the tight ends it was just an overall better fantasy week in general. Tight ends starting to come alive a little bit as we've seen. I do think George Kittle is going to be the tight end 1 rest of the season. There might be a little bias there, but I mean, he just looks good. If you just watch Kittle play, he looks good. Also, I was going to mention a thing on Brock Bowers. with Devontae Adams on the field, he only had a 20% target share, and then these last 2 games, I think, with him off the field, he jumps up to a 30% target share, which is great for a tight end. He also has an 81 PFF grade, which is insane for a tight end. Anything 80 plus is absolutely insane. That's what you want for a receiver, and only a tight end to have that is insane. And that comes pairs with like Kyle Pitts his rookie year. And he was good, but Kyle Pitts is trash now. But yes, want to throw that out there. I think Kittle's tight end 1 rest of the year, Brock Bowers tight end 2, and I think Kelsey's to be tight end 3 rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean I agree. I think Kittle. I think Kittle's always been Purdy's guy, in a way. So I think Kittle has potential to be tight end 1. I think it's gonna be close between Kelsey though. That'd be the other competition.
I agree.
Is Kelsey is now like Mahomes' main target. I mean, Juju's there. Juju, geez, flashback from Juju, back from the past. But I think Kelsey has potential. But I think these tight ends not Tucker Kraft, but like Bowers, Kelsey, and Kittle, they all can be top tight ends the rest of the season. I mean, they are going to be top tight ends the rest of the season. But I think it's going to be a battle between who's the number 1 tight end.
Yeah.
So are you guys buying these players? Are we buying all 3 of these tight ends, or what do you guys think?
I think that if you're going to buy them, you're buying them at their – I mean, you're going to have to pay up a lot. I'd honestly rather buy Tucker Kraft. I think Tucker Kraft's going to be good. I mean, last week he had 9 targets. This week he had 5 targets. I mean, he's producing on these targets too. He has 3 touchdowns in 2 games. Last year we saw glimpses of this. He had 2 touchdowns last year, but it was his rookie year. He was really under the radar as a tight end. But I think he's solid. I think he's becoming Jordan Love's safety blanket. And obviously Jaden Reed's there. Romeo Doubs was out of this game because of like personal like team issues and like conflicts. Dontavian Wicks did not produce what he was supposed to. So I think there's lots of mouths to feed here, but this Packers offense is also really good. Jordan Love hasn't looked the best, but this Packers offense in general is just good. And I like Tucker Kraft. So I'd rather buy Tucker Kraft than try to buy like a Kelsey or like a Bowers, because I think if you try to buy them, you're going to be paying up, and it's going to be expensive unless you like really want to unless you like super convicted that like, hey, Bowers is going to be this guy or Kittle's going to blow up, like he's going to be better than the tight end 1, right? I don't think you should be buying these guys. I think if you have them, you're holding them. I don't think you should be selling them, and I think you just hold and don't buy them unless it's Tucker Kraft, because I'd be buying him.
Yeah, I agree that they're going to be too expensive. Like Kittle right now is probably a bag to drop on. Kelsey with Rice being out, I mean, right when that happened, that was going to be I think I knew instantly it would be hard to trade for Kelsey at this point, knowing that Rice is out. Bowers, again, he's wide receiver 1. I mean, like that's like the type of like if he was a wide receiver, like he'd be a top wide receiver, but he's in the tight end. So I mean, like he's going to be hard to get as well. I do agree with Joe. Like Tucker Kraft, I'd rather get. If you want like another, I think Trey McBride could be a good person to trade for, maybe a little low. I think Sam Laporta is the same thing, where he might, hasn't had the best start of the season, but he could be someone you can get probably a little cheaper than, the other 3 guys. I think another, in one of our leagues that we have, I picked up Hawkinson. If you're looking for a tight end on Yahoo, he's only owned in, I think it was like 66% of leagues. If he's out there after this bye week, I think you pick him up, especially that's how the tight end position's been playing. It's worth it. You don't know. He could hit, he could miss, but it's just another, if he hits, like that's a free hit, and it's like you're fine with that. So I think there's other tight ends out there that you can buy for cheaper. But if you have one of those top 3 guys, you're set for the rest of the year. You're good, unless if you would trade him and you get the bag, go do that.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to throw out one more thing. Sam Laporta was also another rookie tight end who had a PFF grade over 80, and as we saw last year, he was the tight end 1 in fantasy football. So yeah, Brock Bowers is pacing Sam Laporta. He's actually outpacing him a little bit right now. So yeah, that's just another Bowers stat. And also I want to throw out one flex. Would you guys rather flex this week Chuba Hubbard, Brock Bowers, or Chase Brown?
Bro, I was just trying to ask us for free advice.
If you had to
From his
pick between
team.
one of them.
Yeah, what is this?
This is straight from Alex's team. He's trying to ask us for free advice.
I think I'm picking Rico Dowdle.
Yeah, I think I'm picking Derry Agumbawale. So looking, I mean, I'm gonna go back to Brock Bowers. This is what we expected from Brock Bowers. He was one of the best tight end prospects literally ever. Like, I think Kyle Pitts might have been a better prospect, but Brock Bowers
Yeah.
he's so good, dude. I think he was drafted like, what was it, 12th overall?
13th.
13th overall by the Raiders. I mean, they invested in him, and he's the future of their offense with Devonta Adams leaving. He is dynasty. I mean, I don't know if I'd rather have Laporta or Bowers moving forward, or McBride. I don't know. They're all right there. Like, Bowers' dynasty stock has risen so much. So those three are like, I don't know who I'd rather have, to be honest. If Bowers keeps doing this, I'm going Bowers 100%.
So you show you guys to start Browers.
I'm not going to.
No, I'm starting Brian Thomas Jr.
I'm starting.
I think
I'm starting Agumba Wale.
No, I'm just asking for the people out there who happen to have like a Chuba Hubbard and a Chase Brown. I think if Chase Brown, I think if Zach Moss misses time, you start Chase Brown as a running back one, and he could finish as the overall running back one. A little off topic, but we just see the workload that he gets. Like the Bengals running backs get. If any of the Bengals running backs were to go down, that's like putting up 25 carries and like 7 targets for either Zach Moss or Chuba Hubbard. So yeah, just want to throw that out there.
I think Trayvon Williams could be a good pickup for that Bengals offense.
I'm probably starting Mike Gesicki, to be honest. But anyways, moving over to two other studs from this week. We talked about the Chiefs earlier, but I'm just talking about 2 more Chiefs players. This is a flash from the past. Juju Smith-Schuster and Kareem Hunt, 2 old heads who have been in like really good in fantasy. Like Juju had, back-to-back years of being like a top 10 receiver, and Kareem Hunt had like his first 3 years in Kansas City being like a top 10 running back before he had like a bunch of off-the-field problems. But these 2 players, Juju Smith-Schuster came out and he had 7 receptions for 130 yards on 8 targets. And I just think that, he had a 50-yard catch. He had like a couple big plays in this game. But if this is something that is going to continue, if he's going to be like, it almost looked like he was like, I don't know, like kind of playing a Rashee Rice role a little bit in this game over the middle of the field. So if this is something that continues, Juju Smith-Schuster could be an absolute steal, honestly, as picking up. Like we saw him playing with the Chiefs a couple years back, and I'm pretty sure he was like a wide receiver 2 for fantasy. Nothing crazy. He was like the wide receiver 27 in PPR formats. But even that, like that's like production that you could pick up off the waivers. I mean, the year he played with the Chiefs, he had 78 receptions for over almost 1,000 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, if you're picking that up off waiver wires, that's great, because we just saw Rashee Rice coming down like season-ending injury. He's going to get surgery. So Juju could be a solid pickup. And then moving over to Kareem Hunt, he had 27 carries in this game, which is just absurd work for 102 yards and a touchdown. He also had a catch for 15 yards in this game. Kareem Hunt was a big name going into the week last week, and he's probably the number 1 pick off the waivers in almost every league. But, 27 carries is absurd. Like the Chiefs, I'm convinced the Chiefs cannot lose, dude. They can lose everyone on their team, but they won't lose a football game. Like they were rolling out like 4 tight ends, like people we don't even know of. Like half these dudes I don't even know who they are, and they're still out there just dicing them up, like running down the field like it's nothing. Kareem Hunt looked good, and Kareem Hunt moving forward, as long as Isaiah Pacheco is out, Kareem Hunt is going to be solid. He's going to be a low end, probably like a middle end RB2, just based off pure volume in the offense that he's in. So just, these Chiefs, like I said, I don't. Are they going to lose? I don't know. Are they going to Super Bowl? Probably. They're too good, bro. I don't know what to say. That's all I got on that.
Yeah, just that. Kareem Hunt, he's good at beating teams. Sorry. Kareem Hunt, he goes out there, he looks great. I was actually working while I was watching the game, and I was like, I put a waiver in for him, and I was like, oh, I'm so happy. Like, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna trade him. But it turns out I didn't get him in either of my leagues, so that was kind of disappointing to look. But yeah, you start Kareem Hunt. He's a clear. Andy Reid trust him. There's just something about the Chiefs where they can bring back players like Juju, Kareem Hunt, and just have them excel. I mean, Juju, he caught the ball. That's why Mahomes trusts him. I mean, we saw a couple crosser catches where he could just catch the ball. Like that's all Mahomes needs. But I want to talk about a little bit about the highlight of the game. Number 50 on the Saints, Sanders. Man, did he
Are
look
we
good?
picking him up?
Signing off the practice squad to go out there, have an interception, and have a goal line stop on Kelsey. Just a little side note. We don't got to get too much into this.
No, it
And-
was off of what's his name's hands.
Juju.
Get off Juju's hand. Juju almost had a touchdown,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah, I know, but he had the goal line stop on Kelsey, like the big hit, like literally the play before. He goes out there and then I saw a Twitter feed of him backflipping. I mean, he is brothers with Taylor Swift's backup dancer. If you guys have heard about that, but that was just pretty awesome. I was kind of excited about that. They were gonna win, but
yeah, that was a pretty hype clip. But hold on, going back, Juju I think is a pickup. I think he is probably my number one pickup this week, just because of this team's wide receiver situation. Even if they trade for another wide receiver, they trade for like Devontae Adams, unlikely. Anybody other receiver that they trade for, I think Juju still is going to be a good, because he's more of like the middle short route guy, like how Rashee Rice is, and I feel like Juju is going to be. It's going to be the next thing. Juju's going to be just like a little downgrade, but he's still going to produce. He's still going to get the targets. He had a couple big runs. He looked good out there. For him, absolutely sucking last year, and the year before that. So I think Juju's a good pickup.
Yeah, I agree.
Moving on to some duds of the week. Sorry, that was a long time on studs, but some duds. I'm gonna start off with Deontay Johnson. He goes out there, has 6 targets, 3 receptions, 23 yards, 5.3 points. I didn't think they were gonna get killed by the Bears this bad. I mean, but now noting that the Panthers had every single defensive position hurt, it just makes sense. Okay, that's why Caleb Williams has a good game. If Caleb Williams didn't have a good game, that would be something to worry about. But just speaking on Deontay Johnson, I'm not worried. I still think he's going to be good. The connection with Andy Dalton wasn't here this game, but we saw the last 2 games he goes out there, has 10 plus targets in both of them, and just does good. So I'm still buying Deontay Johnson if you can, especially with this little dip. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, Chicago's defense is just good, dude. I didn't think Deontay Johnson would have a good game, and I don't think that the Panthers would. I thought the Panthers were going to lose this game, and I was right. The Bears defense is good, and like I said in the past, I think that Caleb Williams and the Bears are going to start turning it up a little bit, which they did, and they have been. Caleb Williams has thrown like for 300 yards. This game, he threw for like 250 yards the game before. So they're starting to heat up. And side note, Bears players, I'm still buying them. DJ Moore had a big game. Odunze, I'd still buy him. Keenan Allen, maybe not as much, but I like the Bears. I think they're going to be good moving forward. And when it comes to Deontay Johnson, his schedule moving forward is solid. He has got Atlanta and Washington back-to-back weeks, but then he plays against Denver, who's arguably the best defense in the entire NFL. They're shutting everyone down right now across the board in all phases of the game. So Deontay Johnson, I mean, I don't really have an opinion of the Panthers as a whole. I think that they'll be okay.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be fine. It's just gonna be how the Red Rocket does, how that team's feeling that day. But I feel like Deontay Johnson's gonna get the targets. He had Jalen Johnson, I believe is his name, the corner for the Bears, and he's a top 5 corner in the league. He's really good. He got paid like a top 5 corner this last offseason. It's like he's a pretty good he's a pretty good corner. So I wouldn't expect Deontay Johnson to go out there and cook him. But you were talking about the Bears. I think the Bears are a buy. I agree. I think Cole Kmet's also been good, especially in tight end situations this year. Cole Kmet's been getting a lot of targets. Rome Odunze, solid, rookie. DJ Moore, he had a revenge game basically versus the Panthers. Anyway, and I think Keenan Allen is an old man on this team. He's Unk. He is literally
He's literally Unk.
He's literally. I'm a Keenan Allen fan. I like him in the Chargers. He's literally Unk on this team. And I think this offense. I agree with Joe that this offense is a bear. Is a buy. We are completely off topic with our so far. We've been terrible.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I think
Keenan kind of went to the Bears just to die. Just a quick shout out. Chuba Hubbard on the Panthers. He goes out there, has 13 rush attempts, 97 rush yards, and a touchdown, while also having 4 targets, 4 receptions, and -2 receiving yards.
Alex
He
will
puts up-
always shout out his players.
He puts up 16.5 points. If I'm a Jonathan
okay,
Brooks owner,
but
I'm
he had
nervous.
one.
He's
he
had
had
3.
one
He's had
run.
30, 25,
No, I
16.
know. I'm not. I'm saying he had the one big run for like 56 yards, and then he had what? How many carries did he have?
13 for 97.
So like say okay, so 11.
That's hella good.
I guess it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I'm just saying he's just like underrated. He's playing for a spot. He's like showing that he's like worth being there. And just he's him and Deontay Johnson are the shining parts of this offense. There's no rumors of Chuba getting traded, with our rumors of Deontay getting traded. All right, let's get on track a little bit. Moving on to another dud. Dontavius Wicks. He goes out there 7 targets, 2 receptions, 23 yards. He only has 4 points. He has a 33% catch rate this year compared to 50% last year. He cannot catch the ball. I actually saw this Twitter thing today. If it said if Dontavius Wicks could catch the ball, and it showed a picture of Jerry Rice, because it's damn near, if he could catch the ball, he would have so many big plays. He's 0 for 6 on contested catches, so he is straight cheeks. Like, you're not starting this guy. Like, I mean, I know I'm not an NFL receiver, but for fantasy wise, he's on your bench. He just had those good weeks, but no, you're not starting him. He can't catch the ball. He's literally, shout out Evan Gatkin, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot to say here with Dontavian Wicks. He was like the hottest name of the waiver wire last week. And he cannot catch. I mean, you just watch that Packers game. It was like, oh, Jordan Love's going deep. Oh, dropped by Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. Catch the ball. Maybe you could actually be good. And maybe as his career progresses, he'll learn what a jugs machine is, and maybe he can like start catching footballs. But yeah, I mean, not a whole lot to say here.
Yeah, just throwing that out there.
I agree.
I did not fart. It was the chair. Sure. Okay, but
Hold on, I
Okay.
agree. Hold on. I think like Devontae Adams in his career, his first 2 years with the Packers, everyone thought he was a bust. Like he was dropping balls. Like he was terrible. Even Aaron Rodgers would admit, like Aaron Rodgers didn't want to throw him the ball because how bad he is. And then he had a game where it just clicked. Not saying Dontavian Wicks is Devontae Adams, but if he can, he's getting targets. If he doesn't have butterfingers for hands, he would be really good for fantasy football, and I think he could be Devontae Adams if he can catch the ball. So I think there is a possibility he learns how to catch. In the
I
NFL.
also want to say that I'm pretty sure this was a long time ago, but I'm pretty sure Mike Evans had catching issues at the beginning of his career. I think that's true. I don't have facts to back
you
it up.
didn't even watch football when Mike Evans.
I
was there.
did.
You pulled that straight out of your
This
cheek.
was like
Stop
9
that.
years ago, 10 years ago. I'm pretty
Stat
sure he had.
that.
And also
What college you
Jamar
go-
Chase. Huh?
What college did Mike Evans go to?
I don't know.
Oh,
It was
my
Devontae
gosh.
Adams. I know Devontae Adams had catching problems.
Devontae
I don't
Adams
know about
was a
Mike
wingback.
Evans.
I
But
don't know about Mike Evans. Mike Evans
Jamar
was
Chase also had catching issues too. But he
No,
dissolved
that was
very,
the
very-
rumor. That
dissolved
was
those
so dumb.
very, very quickly. But I think the whole point of saying this is Dontavian Wicks is going to be better. He will fix
So
his
are you guys buying or selling Wicks? Because Joseph did put Dontavius Wicks on the trade block in a league that weren't together. So he just pulled straight crap
That
that
is a
he's
dynasty
talking about.
league. Keep that in mind. That is a dynasty.
So are we buying or selling? Are we buying or selling Dontavius? Smith?
I'm buying him in dynasty,
talking about-
and
I'm
I'm
selling
buying-
in normal.
Well, yeah, normal.
so-
I mean, you're not going to get anything for him, so he's probably more of
Cutting.
like a drop
I'm
Yeah.
cutting.
than anything.
And
But
if you
dynasty,
get
the bench
in
spot-
dynasty, I'm buying.
Okay.
Yeah, way to sell
moving
high,
on-
Joe. Way to go.
Moving on to our next dud.
All right, we got Debo Samuel. He had a dud of a game. 3 rushing attempts, 9 yards, 3 targets, 1 reception for 11 yards, and 3 fantasy points. I don't really know how much to say. I mean, it was just he just didn't perform. I think like last game too, like he only had 10 points. I think his calf, I think that was his injury was his calf. I think he's still kind of like working his way back from it. Not saying anything's wrong, but I mean, Ayuk had a game, Kittle had a game. It was just hey, Debo, take a back seat, even though he's like the main focal point of this. He's the main focal point. I think Debo is kind of the main focal point of this offense. Like Debo, with McCaffrey's, makes the engine run, but so does Debo. Debo is basically like a hamster, I would say, who just loves running people over and hurting himself. And I think Debo is kind of like once Debo gets going, I think the Niners team gets going with him. He sets the tone a lot. I know Kittle does the same thing, but there's just something about Debo where he creates those big plays, runs some people over, takes a screenplay for 60 yards and a touchdown. And it's just, I think Debo's going to get going. What do you guys think?
Yeah, but something about Debo, he just has that gas to him. Like, he just can keep going. This brings me to my next point, though. With Debo, I think he's a buy. Coming off a 3-point game, I think he will definitely bounce back. And I think the Niners offense will be better and also be forced to score touchdowns due to losing Jake Moody. Our kicker got absolutely obliterated. I don't know what was going on with him. He drops a shoulder tackle, and he didn't even make the tackle. I don't know what was happening there. But that's just unfortunate for the Niners because we would have clearly won that game if we had a kicker. But I'm buying Debo Samuel. I mean, I'm buying whichever Niner has a bad week, you buy them. Besides Jordan Mason, I would say, because I think McCaffrey's going to come back sooner than we think. I'm hearing rumors of like a week 7, week 8 return, and I think that is realistical. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before. Debo's fine. He'll be fine. The Niners go as Debo goes, and Debo didn't play good, and the Niners lost. So that just goes to back up my point there. But, moving on to Isaiah's next dud player. You got Isaiah.
I got Marvin Harrison Jr., 7 targets, 2 receptions for 36 yards. I know we have had a discussion about Neighbors and Marv versus each other. Right now, it is currently Neighbors versus Brian Thomas Jr. But I'm not worried about Marv whatsoever. I'll be honest. Marv had 7 targets. He keeps getting targets. And it's just that connection with Kyler. I think it's still growing. And I think Marv is going to have those big games. I think he's also going to have games like this, but he's still getting in targets. So I think, Marv for me is an easy start. Like he's the number 1 wide receiver on the team. I know Michael Wilson had a good game, but he had Ward on him. So he had, Niners defense has kind of been very questionable, but I'm not worried about Marv whatsoever. What do you guys think?
I think Marv is a must sell. I think you're just honest, me, honestly. He just can't catch the ball. There's something about this Cardinals offense. He can't catch the ball. I think I was joking about the must sell, but I would be open to trading him. Like he did just have a down week, but he's just struggling a little bit catching the ball right now. Very similar to the Dontavius Wicks, just Dontavius Wicks is 10 times worse. But I feel like this Cardinals offense, they always just have a good first quarter and then don't do anything like passing the rest of the game. We always see Connor get active. But yeah, I think Marvin Harrison just had a bad week, and I think he does have a safe floor with 10-point floor. Because I think he will get targets. It's just whether he brings them down or not. And the good thing about his targets is they are usually big plays. They're mossing someone, they're 50-yard catches. There's a lot of upside there.
I'm gonna say the exact opposite. I think Marvin Harrison is a buy. I believe in Marvin Harrison. I mean, we talk about him a ton on this podcast. We talk about a lot of rookie receivers on this podcast. And Marvin Harrison is just really good, dude. Probably the best wide receiver prospect we've seen in such a long time. And I'm not straying from that. I mean, I still believe in Jackson Smith and Jigba from last year being the number 1 receiver of his class. Maybe not the number 1 receiver, but he was supposed to be the number 1 receiver of his class. And I still believe in him. So if I still believe in him, I obviously still believe in Marvin Harrison Jr. Being just absolutely absurd in his entire career. I think he's going to be great. So I'm buying Marvin Harrison if I can. If there's an owner who's not confident in Marvin Harrison, for some reason, if Alex had Marvin Harrison, he's like, I'm selling him. Oh, I'm buying that 100%. Give me Marvin Harrison for literally anything. Olave.
Just want to throw that out there. I am the wide receiver whisperer of the group. I did call Drake London every week up till now, and I also did call Jamar Chase, while Joseph is the opposite.
I am not the opposite.
You just said him every week. Drake London game. Bet it.
And then when it finally hit, you think she's the whisperer.
Yeah.
Which is kinda crazy.
Yeah. I agree with Joe. I think Marvin Harrison, again, we were talking about drops. Drops seems to be the day. Devontae Adams had drops. Jamar Chase was worried about drops. He's getting targets. He is a, for sure Hall of Famer. Like that's what he was, basically the golden boy. I think he's gonna figure it out. He's still getting targets. He's had good games. I think he's had like after like 30, he's had 32, 17, 15. He just had a bad game. So like I'm not worried about him whatsoever.
Yeah, definitely. Moving over a couple of my duds. The player that I traded Debo for, Chris Olave, also popping up, literally having the same exact stat line, I think, in this game. He had 3 fantasy points, which is awful. But the Chiefs' defense is, top 5. They lock down on wide receivers, especially wide receiver ones. They just absolutely shut them down. Steve Spagnuolo, Andy Reid, they have done this for years. They will find your best player and they will not let them do anything. And this pretty much always happens. So I am not worried about Olave at all, to be honest. I still think Olave is good. Rashid Shaheed had a good game. Rashid Shaheed's been looking good. Derek Carr is now going to miss multiple weeks. Spencer Rattler is probably going to be the starter. And who knows what's going to happen, dude? Who knows who Spencer Rattler is going to throw the ball to if he even gets the ball, past the line of scrimmage, because he's probably just going to get blown up.
Yeah, I do have a little insight. I think Jake Haener, there's a good chance he starts. We saw in that last drive, he actually went out there and threw a couple dots. We know that Derek Carr is going to be out. It seemed like 2 to 4 weeks. With that,
that they came out saying that there's a good chance that Spencer Rattler is going to start.
Yeah, but I just wanted to give I think that Saints should start Jake Haener. I don't know if you guys watched like that last drive, but he went out there and he actually played good. Like he was able to scramble out of the pocket. He actually threw a dot to Olave on the sideline, which was a perfect ball. Olave just wasn't able to come down with that. But I think honestly for the Saints that Jake Haener would be a better start. But yeah, it would be if they do start Spencer Rattler. I am worried obviously about Olave and all the receivers. I think Kamara's still gonna get the workload just because he's the running back and they're handing the ball off. But yeah.
Yeah, I'd be a little worried about Olave, just slightly, just because of his QB situation. Traded him at the right time, but I think honestly, if I'm the Saints, if I am the Saints, I'm letting Spencer Rattler ride. Let's see what he got. Rookie, wasted I think a 3rd round pick on him. Like he could be the future of this team. You never really know, but you're not gonna know unless he plays. So why not let him play? I know in the offseason too, they talked about how is there a chance Rattler is good? Like they were talking about him. They're kind of hyping him up this offseason. So I think he has the potential. So I think they're gonna start Rattler to see what he has. I think in college, I don't really know. I don't remember how he used to play, but it could be a big. I forgot how he used to play, but if he likes a deep ball, could be Shaheed still. But I think Olave. I think if Spencer Rattler's in, I think he might feed Olave way more. And Olave or not Olave. Kamara is going to get a lot of dump off passes.
Yeah. I think that I agree. I think I'm not, like I said before, the Kansas City defense, they always shut down number 1. That's been known for years. They always do it. So I wasn't expecting a big Olave game. He's playing against Tampa Bay next week, who just gave up I'm pretty sure 66 combined fantasy points to Darnell Mooney and Drake London. So this could be a spot where even with a bad quarterback, Olave and Shaheed could, play really good. But then he has Denver. So
yeah, Denver's a little tough. But I think Shaheed, when you mentioned Shaheed, I think Shaheed is a solid flex play. I think he's there with I know right now Derek Carr being hurt kind of hinders that. So me making the statement really makes no sense. But he's the same as Mooney basically. Shaheed, when he was playing, he was having solid games. If you look at his stats, he had 2 dud weeks. Other than that, he's had 3 20-point games. So I think Shaheed is solid.
yeah,
with Derek Carr. We're just gonna see. Right now he's probably not a good flex. We'll see what happens with Spencer Rattler playing.
Yeah, I think I would put Shaheed in more of the Jameson Williams range, as opposed to like I said, I like Darnell Mooney, dude. I mean, I just think he's. I mean, I thought he was good in Chicago, and he was supposed to be like the next thing in Chicago, but he never came through. So I would put Mooney above Shaheed, but I put Shaheed in like that, like like Jameson Williams deep threat. I mean, he's proving to be more than a deep threat as well, and I think Jameson Williams still has a chance to make that leap as well. But that's just like a little side note. But
Yeah, I think Shaheed with Carr as a receiver too. You can comfortably start him now after he's shown that he's not just a deep threat. He gets targets as well. But without Carr, honestly, I'm benching all the Saints receivers. The only player I'm starting on the Saints would be Kamara, just because that workload he's gonna get on the checkdowns, just with the uncertainty of the quarterback. But
yeah, I don't know about benching Olave, but moving on. Tank Dell. We haven't really talked about Tank Dell a lot on this podcast just because he's literally a dud every single week. Like he's never done anything. He was drafted in like round 5. I thought Tank Dell was going to be good. I didn't draft him because I had a little bit of like, I don't know. But Tank Dell, the only reason I'm bringing him up is because Nico Collins got hurt in this game. Nico Collins goes down with a hamstring. He was day to day. Now he's week to week. So that is a little, concerning for Nico Collins. And, we saw stretches where Tank Dell was like, I'm pretty sure from like it was a 5-week stretch where Tank Dell was like the wide receiver 2 in those 5 weeks, playing with CJ Stroud. And I think that with Nico going down, Tank Dell he's going to produce. I think he's going to be good. He's good. He's a good player. He's just not getting it. He's kind of getting unlucky. Diggs is going to be great, dude. Diggs has been playing good all year. I said sell high on Diggs week 1. I'm going to bite the bullet on that one and say I was definitely wrong.
you know who said buy Diggs? Who's
You
been
did not.
saying?
You did not say buy Diggs.
You guys were sells. I was.
You said
I
sell.
was
That
told.
that
Yes, I'm gonna pull up a clip and put the clip of you saying to sell Diggs. But just overall,
I did.
Nico Collins going down. I think Tank Dell's going to be good. I truly do. I think Tank Dell is going to produce as CJ Stroud's guy. I think Diggs is going to be better, but Tank Dell literally can't be worse than he is right now. Like he's been so bad. One of probably the worst picks in the entire fantasy draft right now. What do you guys think about Tank Dell maybe producing?
I think that the Texans offense is going to take a big hit without Nico, as we saw this last week. Nico, he was obviously just the receiver 1 in this offense, and with this injury, it sucks because I happen to have Nico and Puka, and I'm still in second place, which is just shows just a little bit. But going into the draft, I was not drafting Worthy or Tank Dell. They were both just kind of the same player. They're both kind of Xavier Worthy.
Oh,
I was throwing it out there. Xavier Worthy or Tank Dell.
brother, they're like 4 rounds apart.
they're like 9.
Yeah, I know. I'm just throwing that out there. But I think Tank Dell does have higher upside because I do think Nico Collins is going to miss like 2 weeks, which sucks. And it just seems like there's always another injury every week. But I would say that Tank Dell has flex appeal. I think the running backs for the Texans are bigger beneficiaries for this Nico injury because Nico's kind of the guy. Stephon Diggs obviously gets a little boost, but yeah, there's just a lot of uncertainty with Tank Dell right now.
I'm a Tank Dell fan. I had him last year before he got hurt. I think I liked him coming into this year as well. Like Joe, like I was a Tank Dell. Like I wasn't really drafting. I didn't draft him anywhere, but just where I was just kind of just not drafting him. But I think they've been using Tank Dell differently this year from last year. Last year he was more like he was a deep threat. Like he can go up there and catch it. Like he up there with Nico Collins. When last season when it was just them two, like he was putting up the same numbers as Nico Collins. So I think with Nico Collins being hurt, I don't think this Texans offense is going to take that much of a hit because it's just going to be Tank Dell going into that Nico Collins role. And last season we saw Tank Dell do it. So you're looking at me like I'm crazy, but if you look at their stats, Tank Dell did what Nico Collins was doing last year before he got hurt. So it's nothing very much. It's just Nico Collins is a little bit taller. Maybe if they didn't have him blocking on the goal line, we could have seen that. Maybe Tank Dell is actually pretty good. But yeah, I think Tank Dell. If you can get him right now for pretty cheap, I think I would, especially with with Nico Collins being out.
Yeah, last year, weeks 9 through 12, Tank Dell went 31, 19, 30, and 18. fantasy points, PPR. And I mean, that's just kind of the thing, like ceiling we can see with Tank Dell being that elite wide receiver. I think he's going to step in and just do what Nico Collins was doing, honestly. Like,
I don't
can
think you
see-
can replicate that Nico Collins. Nico Collins was receiver 1 on the year. Just
I
look at
mean-
it. He played just the first quarter and had 15 fantasy points. Like, he was due for a 50-point game.
Well, now he's out for like a month. So Tank Dell's going to be good. Moving
Yeah,
on.
I don't think you realize how good Tank Dell was last
Tank
year.
Dell
Like,
was
he
an
was
absolute
like,
beast.
Bro,
everyone was
hey,
hyping him
you
up.
you got a little white stuff on your face there, buddy. But
You're
moving on to the
good,
next dud.
I'm going to fire these off real quick. Brees Hall, back-to-back weeks of absolute trash production. I'm pretty sure this is one of Alex's guys. I'm not 100% sure, though. I think Alex drafted Brees Hall in the
Yeah,
first
okay. You know, I got something to say about that. I
No
think
clip. There's
Brees
no
Hall,
clip of it.
Brees Hall is a must buy. I am buying
I think Brees
Brees
Hall is a
Hall.
must cut. Get him
No,
off
after
your
2
team.
weeks,
Bozo.
Aaron Rodgers threw the ball 54 times. That is not realistical. Also, they did fire Robert Saleh. I don't know if that's going to have any effect. And the week before against the Broncos, they just could not get anything going. So I think that's just 2 bad weeks overall. And we know that the Broncos and the Vikings both have top 5 defenses in the league right now. So I think this is just like a matchup thing. Brees Hall did, but good news for Brees Hall. It's not like he's losing workload to Braylon Allen for these last 2 games. He did come out and play more snaps. I think he played 70% of snaps in Braylon Allen. They both declined in snaps this last week. It was 70-30. But Brees Hall did go up in his snap share this last week, so that is good news. My only concern is Brees Hall hitting the holes. But I think as we saw the first 3 weeks, he has a 15-point floor. I think that's still realistical. But yeah,
That's not a word.
Yeah, realistical is not a word.
realistic.
But I'm just going to say
Or
something real quick.
realistically.
Brees Hall is averaging 3 yards a carry on the year right now, which is not good. Like, that's honestly not good. Like, he's going to get saved from PPR. Like, he's going to get catches. But if he's going to average 3 yards a carry, that's bad. Like, that's not good at all. Like, at all.
Brees Hall has a matchup against Buffalo Bills this week, who have absolutely horrible run defense.
Well, let's see
and
what
he's gonna-
happens. Let's see what happens.
He's going to put up 25 points this week. And we're going to come back next episode on next Tuesday, and we're going to talk about it.
We will see. We'll probably talk about it when he's a dud.
Okay.
But I mean, I still think Brees Hall's fine. That's what I'm gonna say. But
Why are you glazing him, buddy? Why are you like?
I'm not glazing him. I'm saying he's not gonna be a running
Yeah,
back one.
You're
he's gonna
destroying
be-
him.
He's gonna be like a
I'll have been there.
middle-ish RB1. I don't know. I just think this is concerning if he's averaging 3 yards a carry. But he could be fine. What do you think, Isaiah?
I'm trying to buy Brees Hall. I'm a Brees Hall fan. I enjoy a good Brees Hall, just like Alex. We love that white stuff on us. Especially coming from Hall. So like, I'm trying to buy Brees Hall. I'll be honest, a couple of leagues, trying to get him. I know Alex is stingy, so I won't be trading him for Brees Hall because he is an absolute Brees Hall for my entire team type of guy. So like, there's no point in me trying to send anything to him. But in other leagues, I'm trying to trade for Brees Hall right now.
Yeah, with these things you're saying, I'm lucky my girlfriend doesn't watch this podcast or she'd be upset. She's going to try to steal me away.
Moving on, we're gonna quickly just name a couple people we're trading for. Alex, go quick.
David Montgomery. I'm trading for David Montgomery. I was just thinking about it, and he's going up against the Dallas defense this week. And Dallas sucks. And I know with Jahmyr Gibbs after the bye last year, he just went off. But Montgomery still, like in this last game, I mean, they had a bye last week, but against Seattle, he goes out there as 12 attempts, 40 yards, and a touchdown with 1 reception, 40 yards. And he absolutely bucked that guy. We definitely talked about that. But I think he is the safest floor, like almost out of all the running backs. He goes out there, he has 16, 17, 24, and 15. Even though Jahmyr Gibbs sold 2 touchdowns, I think Montgomery's going to get a touchdown on the first drive and then probably just sit the rest of the game. But if he's getting you 15 points, you're not mad about that. Another guy that I'm trading for is CeeDee Lamb. He just hasn't lived up to expectations. As you've seen, there's been some lackluster like chemistry between Prescott and Lamb. But I think there's a huge bounce back spot against the Detroit Lions, and I think that's going to be an absolute shootout. Maybe not as much of a shootout as the Bengals Ravens, but I think it's a great bounce back spot for him. Also, I am buying Chase Brown. If you can buy Chase Brown, I would buy Chase Brown. As we've seen, I feel like he's starting to take over this backfield. And if Zach Moss misses any time, he's an RB1. And yeah.
Yeah, that's, I mean, good buys. Moving on to my buys, we got this is your time to buy Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. It might be too late. I think it might be too late because they just got off their bye. They're the first team to get their bye, and they are going to explode. I talked about this many times. Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb last year, from this point forward, at this point in the season, were the quarterback one and the wide receiver one. And I said it on the last podcast. That is exactly what Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown are about to do. And I am confident when I say that because Kellen Moore, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, they're going to get their stuff together. And with Saquon Barkley there, they are going to the sky is the limit for these guys. They are going to go crazy. And I think that they, moving forward, are going to win so many leagues, just like Dak and CeeDee did last year. And then also, just a little, after a bad week from DK, I'd be buying DK as well. DK is an imposing wide receiver. He's always just solid for your team. He's never going to be a league winner. Maybe he'll win you a week, but when it comes to long-term season, he's always going to be like that wide receiver 15, wide receiver 20 in PPR formats. So DK could be a sneaky buy if you're just looking for a little, just constant, steady production, kind of like Dave Montgomery at the receiver spot. But yeah, those are just a couple of buys I'm buying heading into week 6. What about you, Isaiah?
I like all those buys. A.J. Brown, he has been my guy. I am a big fan of A.J. Brown. I will glaze him, be honest. I'll take the glaze too. Not afraid of that. I'm an A.J. Brown truther. Going into the season, I thought he was going to be the offensive player of the year. That was my guy. He started the year off as arguably he could have if he didn't, hurt his hamstring. He still can. He still can. He still gets to the rest of the year. It's like I think, Jalen Hurts, we also saw Jalen Hurts miss A.J. Brown. There's a couple of plays where it was like, Devontae Smith, yes, he's Robin. He's not Batman.
Yeah.
No, same universe, not the same person. So I think A.J. Brown coming back and Jalen Hurts, I think that connection is going to be really strong. And I'm a DK fan. I've always liked DK. But on to my buys, we kind of already went over them. I have Breece Hall. Breece Hall's a buy for me. I also think Deebo's a buy for me. I think Marvin Harrison's a buy. I think there's just get them when they're cheap right now. Bad games. I like saying Marvin Harrison's been pretty consistent. Like he's had 2 bad games. His first game and his last game have been both bad games. But other than that, Marvin Harrison's been 32, 17, and 15. Like that's pretty good. So I'm saying I'm buying those 3 guys right now.
Yeah.
I just want to throw out some sells, just some guys I would sell. Some might be hot takes, but I would try to get value. If you can sell Bucky Irving, I think Rachaad White still dominates his backfield, and he actually goes out there and outperforms Bucky Irving. So if you can get any value out of him
for the first week. First week all
and then
season.
I just want to throw out one guy you can drop is Rashee Rice. He should not be rostered. He's facing a 4-month recovery, and Isaiah still has him on his team. And you can drop him. You don't got to glaze him anymore. You can drop him. He had a 4-month recovery. Another guy.
Why are you just looking at my team like that? I didn't know you had such fans like that.
I'm not. Another guy I would sell.
What if I'm dropping him today? Waiver wires.
Kmet. I would sell Cole Kmet. I think this Bears just had an ideal matchup, and I think if you can sell Cole Kmet, then I would.
No, I'm sorry.
I would. I would.
That's a bad take.
He has 8 points.
Normally, I agree with your take.
What tight end is doing better?
Dude, Cole Kmet,
1 target, 5 target, 11 target, 3 target, 4 target.
Cole Kmet is a tight end 6 on the year, and Caleb Williams is only going to get better. He's only going to get better. Like Caleb Williams is not going to get worse. I do not think Caleb Williams is going to get worse, and I think Cole Kmet is becoming his guy. So I think that's a bad take personally.
And Keenan Allen is old.
Yeah, I think
you sell Cole Kmet. Another guy I think you can sell. I think Sell Patrick Mahomes.
Drop
Sell him while you can.
Drop him.
Sell
Get him
Patrick
off your
Mahomes
team.
while you can. I
Get
would
him
sell
off
him.
your team.
If there's hype around him, whatever, sell him. I don't think he's getting much better than what he's doing now. This is a hot one that both of them are not going to be like. Sell Brian Robinson or Brian Thomas Jr. I know he has been absolutely
that's
insane,
crazy.
but he goes up against Chicago this week. I think he's going to have a straight dud week this week. And he could go out there and just prove me wrong and then go off. But looking at his playoff schedule, he has Tennessee, the Jets, the Raiders, and then Titans. Tennessee is the best pass defense, and he's versus them week 14 and week 17. And then the Raiders are the 20th, so they're up there. But I think if you could get value now, because he's a hot name right now, I would. And then another guy, one more sell, my last sell. Brian Robinson Jr. I know he has went out there and looked good, but I truly think that Austin Eckler still has it. Austin Eckler doesn't have that big breakaway playability like he has had in previous years, but he looks good. He has a floor of pretty much 10 points. He has 10, 10, 11, and like 9. And he goes out there and looks good. Also, Jeremy McNichols is getting touchdowns. I don't know if this is just because they blew out the Browns, but it seems like Brian Robinson goes out there as 13 points, but that's mainly because he got the 2 touchdowns, 7 rush attempts, 18 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But yeah,
as a Brian Robinson fan, coming with every league, your take there is completely wrong. He was dealing with a knee injury. I think he didn't practice for Thursday and Friday. I think he got a limited practice in on Saturday. And then like coming into the game, like I think kind of like those tempered expectations, just knowing because he was dealing with a knee injury and they blew him out early. They gave him 2 touchdowns. They gave him the goal line work. You're talking about Austin Eckler, like Brian Robinson has had a game less than 10 points this season, which he has not. So I think Brian Robinson, I think you're keeping him.
I agree.
I'm just saying if you can get something out of him, I would, just because I think Eckler is going to gain a bigger role in this backfield. Even though the Commanders' offense looks great, I think Eckler
Just splitting carries. Nothing's changed in the last 4 or 5 games. I mean, besides Austin Eckler missing.
Yeah, I'm predicting the future, buddy. I know what's happened, but I'm predicting the future here. Would you rather have Breece Hall or Brian Robinson Jr. rest of the year?
Wow, that's a real hot take right there, Jack.
I'm just asking. I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel, but
I like Breece Hall.
I'm just gonna say that it seems like Alex is riding real high right now. You know, look, big ego over here, but he doesn't realize that me and him have the same exact record. We're both 3-2. We're both tied for second. So I don't know what bro's on right now. I don't know why bro's riding high. I don't know what he got to knock his ego down just a little bit because his team is not that good. So that's all I got to say.
Okay, well, I think
it's a great way to end it right there.
Well, I just want to throw out one more thing. In our league, I have 700 points for me, and Joseph only has 570. So I don't know what he's talking about. Record. But okay, thank you guys.
Wait, who beat you in week 2?
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah.
And we'll catch you guys on the next episode.